logic before authority.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon, your investigative journalist. And today we're going to take a look at a subject that everyone's heard about, but no one understands or has really shown the significance of the story, the location, and the occult symbolism behind everything that has been shown and talked about. So we're going to take a deep look into exactly why this particular monolith or pillar or rod or phallic symbol was placed in this location, and why the exact location, why just everything surrounding it and the story. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the story. The story is that a department of the government was flying around, and they were looking for what? They were looking for bighorn sheep. There's your first hint. Actually, it's several hints, and both of them will play right back into the rest of the story. They were looking for sheep. Sheep. Bighorn sheep, specifically. You know, this kind of bighorn sheep. The ram. Yeah. The same thing that's used to represent the Baphomet, the half male, half female satanic symbol that we're all familiar with. They chose the bighorn sheep that they were looking for very specifically. And as many of us know, the bighorn sheep, the look and design of the sheep's head is symbolism for the female reproductive system. I'll read this a little bit here to you. It says, a ram, a shamanic power animal, represents the pre-ovulation phase of the menstrual cycle. Springtime, symbolic of Aries, new beginnings, fertility, new beginnings, energy, power. Mars and the god of war, masculine within the feminine, wild women, creation. Okay? So now you know that they were looking for, and why they said they were looking for bighorn sheep. Sheep. Here's another image of that guy and the symbolism, which is what they're showing. And I'm going to show you the symbolism of the whole thing as to why everything is the way it is in the story and in the location. And so now you know that. So what else? Here's an image of the Baphomet that I was talking about. Right? You can see that it's obviously using a bighorn sheep's head. And it is referring to the female reproductive system as well as the DNA of the human. As you can see right in the belly area, there is the two serpents winding around the pole, around the pillar, around the monolith, you see? Winding around it. That is a double helix, and it is also representative of the DNA of a person. Now notice where this guy is sitting. Okay? He's sitting, see what's behind him right here? He's sitting in front of a monolith, in front of a pillar, right? Yep, that's right. So now here is some imagery of the location, some of the first imagery that was released. These are the guys that supposedly got off of the helicopter and went down and looked at this thing and ended up making it into the news that they had found it, right? So you can tell here that basically it is 10, maybe 11 feet tall. But we're going to take a look at this to start with. Okay, what are you looking at? Think symbolism. Think what we've already discovered about the female reproductive system. You have right here a phallic symbol, or a rod, or a pillar. They chose to dub it as monolith. And you also have a split in the rock, in the red rock. We'll discuss why it's red here in a moment. Red rock with a split in the middle of it, with water that passes out through here. It's pretty obvious, doesn't take a scientist to figure out that this is symbolism for the female reproductive system. You have the phallic symbol and you have the female birth canal symbolism. Okay? And we have a triangle shaped phallic symbol. So when there's a flood, because this area obviously floods on an annual basis, and when the water rushes out through here once a year, this monolith, or this phallic symbol in the shape of a triangle, is angled directly towards the split in the rock, the female reproductive symbolism, so that the water, when it rushes out from here, it hits the phallic symbol straight on, and because it's in the shape of a triangle, it splits the water. It divides the water. Okay? And when it divides it, and it splits and comes out, it has to then come back together on the backside. And the way that it will do that, and what it will form, is it will form a swirl coming in from both sides, and it will swirl, and it will form a double helix, the DNA symbolism. Okay, it will swirl and wind with itself. It's just like if you take something and put it in the way of your sink faucet, the water flowing down, it will go around water, like just put a spoon there, or something round or whatever, or triangle shaped just like this. And when the water goes around it, when it comes back together, it will swirl just like the snake on the Baphomet's, just like the phallic symbol, the pole on the Baphomet's stomach. It will swirl just like a double helix, just like you see here. Okay? It's all about the symbolism. But why this location? Well, there are several reasons that I can see and that I've been shown. This is an amphitheater. It's a natural amphitheater. It's fully enclosed almost. Just back on the back end down here, it's open a little bit. So here you can see that this is a pretty large area in here. It looks pretty small, but it's a pretty large area, and it's surrounded almost completely by rock. Makes a natural amphitheater with nodes and anti-nodes throughout the locations, different points in here based on where you stand, and what it's saying is, what it's related to is frequency. Okay, it's symbolism. They put it in an amphitheater because of the frequency symbolism, because of the flow of the water symbolism, because of the split in the rock, because of the phallic symbol. This is all about the female reproductive system and how they plan to modify it. Okay. The rock is red because it has to do with blood. The reason the rock is red is because of iron oxidation. When there's a lot of iron in this rock, and when it's exposed to air, it oxidizes and turns it red. Okay. Well, what that has to do with your blood is that it's all tied right back into this whole story that we know that's going on worldwide right now. We know that the new generation of wireless that's coming out, there's several, but one in particularly, a frequency that deals with oxygen and deals with the blood's ability to uptake oxygen. And so that is exactly what has to do with the red and the iron being in the blood. It has to do, it's just symbolism for the blood and the uptake of oxygen, or the limiting thereof. Hence, I can't breathe. We're also going to be getting into actually where this design came from. It's a particular artist that actually is said to have passed, but there's clear evidence tying it back to this particular artist, or at least his legacy. If he is dead or not, who knows. Something else I want you to notice, this is a view from above. The little circle is basically where the pillar or the monolith is located. Okay, and this is the amphitheater in here. And if you notice from above, however, look at how the rock is designed. Look how it lays like fingers. See the fingers? Looks like fingers of a hand, or the toes of the foot. You see all that? That's going to become very interesting here in just a moment, because I'm going to show you why. Now here we are on the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive Wayback Machine, and we're looking at biolifesas.org, and we're looking at an editorial that was put out by multiple scientists, Forinelli, Seferi, Rocha, and several others. Okay, some of you remember this when it came out, and it was talking about, says in this research we show that 5 millimeter, you know what I'm talking about, trying not to say certain words. This will be solved soon, where I'll be able to say whatever I want, however I want. So just bear with me. The millimeter waves could be absorbed by the dermatological cells, acting like antennae, transferring to other cells, and play a main role in producing corona. In biological cells, DNA is built and charged from charged electrons and atoms, and has an inductor-like structure. This structure could be divided into linear, toroid, and round inductors. Inductors interact with external electromagnetic waves, such as the next generation, which they're referring to specifically right here. Okay? And basically, it is going on through and saying that the next generation of wireless is going to communicate via your skin cells, and then allow it to communicate with other cells, and communicate ultimately with your brain. Okay, and it's going to alter the DNA. It goes into depth in this report that it will actually alter the DNA and form what they are calling in here coronaviruses. Okay, now each one of these guys involved with this, like the guy with Marconi University out of Rome, Italy, he and his name was Fornelli, okay? And I believe this is, Massimo Fornelli. Here he is. Okay, this is on another website that's currently still up, researchgate.net. And you can go there and take a look at this guy. He works at Marconi University. Marconi University, the name Marconi, comes from back around the same time as when Tesla and Marconi were credited with the invention of wireless radio or wireless communication. You can see he has 242 publications. This guy's a scientist, okay? And his publications that he is still putting out, this one as of August of 2020, millimeter waves and biological electrical properties. Millimeter waves have four main effects. And he's talking about currents interacting with the cells in your body and communicating with other cells and altering DNA. Okay? You can come here and read the full text of the article, what he's talking about. Here was July of 2020, talking about the same stuff again. Okay? This guy is in the know of what the next generation of wireless is being used for. He's well aware of it. Here is Maria Granza Rocha. I probably pronounced that wrong a little bit, but did the best I could. She continues to talk about some of the same things. See right here? The next generation in technology and the induction of coronavirus into skin cells. You see that? And many other things that are tied to the story as well. She works at Marconi University as well. So, as I'm talking to you about the story of the monolith, it's tied to the research that's out there as well. The amphitheater, the reason why they chose it to be in an amphitheater. Yeah. Now I want to show you a few more things that are going to become, all of what I've said is going to become more relevant here in just a minute. It's going to come together in Scripture, and I'm going to show it to you. Okay. You see this image here? There's a few images that were not that one. This image, that image, this image, and the image that we started out with. That one there? Yeah. Let's move it over here. Okay. So that image, these are the same guys. And these guys that took some of these images, these are players in this script. Okay, in this ritual that's being played out here. Okay. If you look up the story about this, okay, I think I have it right here. It says Ross Bernards took moonlight photographs of his friend Peter Johns atop the monolith, okay, on November 27th. And then moments later, they witnessed its removal. Yeah. Okay, what do we see here in this image? What are we looking at? Well, you have man standing on top of a phallic symbol, further pushing the symbolism of that this represents the male member, and that crack in the rock, in the clay, back there is the female representation with the water running out of it on the ground. They said that they were taking pictures of the moon above, and this is supposedly the moon. It's not. Okay? This image is taken direct on north. Okay? And you can see how low on the horizon the moon is. The moon does not pass that low on the horizon to the north. That'd be like going out of your house and looking, and you had to look way to the north, down low to the horizon to find the moon. It doesn't work that way. This is not the moon. I don't know what they did to light the ground up. You can look at the shadows down on the ground and see that this is not the moon. See the shadows? It would not create that if that light was the moon way off in the distance. But why did they take a picture and claim it's the moon? Okay. It has to do with another one of the pictures that they took. This one. You see? It's a man sitting inside of a hollowed out area that's lit. Now they've went back there with false light and lit this. Okay? Because you can see the angle of the sun. This was early morning, probably like around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay? Based on the angle of the sun here, knowing that this is north. Right there is straight north. So this has got to be about, because the shadow would point straight at that crack at noon. Okay? So we know this is like 9 o'clock in the morning. And this man sitting in this ovum will come real clear as to what this is symbolizing. It's ultimately, it is the birth of a new man. It is the birth of new mankind, the rebirth, or the coming of the new man. Okay, symbolism for it, and that is perfect symbolism, and you will see why. I've got a few clips from some videos I want to show you from some movies, and they have symbolized this exact same whole setup several times in multiple movies, and you'll see here in just a minute what I mean. So back to this photo here specifically, the reason why they chose the moon is because the moon is what controls the cycles of females all over the planet. Okay, the moon's movements in the heavens is synced to the reproductive cycles of all females on the planet. That is pretty much an accepted fact that I think I pretty much agree with. Okay? The phases of the moons, everything has to do with the female reproductive. So here we have symbolism of a man, okay, holding his hands up to the moon, the fertility controller, standing on top of a rod or a phallic symbol in front of a symbolism of a vagina with water coming out of it, with additional images like this showing you a man in the ovum, the future birth of the new man. Starting to get it? I think so. Now it's getting ready to get even more interesting. Okay, the Exodus. Remember that? Where Moses led the Israelites, I guess you would say, out of Egypt. Okay? Let's take a look at Exodus 13. We're going to start at 20. Okay? It says, and they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham in the edge of the wilderness. Okay? Now, what is a wilderness? Most people, including myself, thought wilderness was like the woods. the mountains, the woods, something like that, right? Actually, the wilderness, if you look at the definition, when you convert it back to Hebrew, you will see that the wilderness is the desert. That's right, the desert. Where was the monolith? In the desert. What was it doing? It was set up so that it would split the waters, wasn't it? Let's keep reading. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud, and led them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire. A pillar. The monolith technically is a pillar, okay? All right, and so by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. So he put a pillar of a cloud for them to follow in the heavens in front of them to follow, and a pillar of fire for them to follow at night. Okay? Now you can look at that however you want, but we're reading it right out of the scripture here. Okay? So now let's come on over here, and I could read all of this, but basically it is talking about part of why they were trying to flee, and the point to where they got down to beside the sea. Okay, so let's start down here. They were complaining, saying, Moses, we're afraid. Why have you let us out here? All these kinds of things. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. But lift up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. Okay, going back to Utah. Okay, we've got a rod there, or a pillar, and it is set in position specifically for the intention of splitting the water, for one thing. And it is specifically in a location that looks like hands, fingers, even toes maybe, but definitely fingers, as I showed you in the images. So think about this. But lift up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them, and I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have spoken me honor up Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. You see, they were walled in. The waters were divided. They were being led by a pillar. And Moses waved his hand over the sea. And the Egyptians pursued and went after them in the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses and his chariots and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee. From the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. Flee, the Exodus, right? Remember some of these words. They're going to come back again here in a few minutes. You're going to see how all this ties together. It gets even more deep. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. The reason why I've brought you and showed you this over here is because this is tied into exactly, you've heard, for instance, Trump. You've heard him talk about we got to get back. Got to get back. Let me give you an example why I'm talking about this. Exodus, okay, the word Exodus in Gematria is 88, which is also Trump, which is 88, okay? And that by itself doesn't mean anything. But when you add it all together with additionally the things I'm going to show you from here, you'll see the big picture if you haven't already. So you may say, well, how is Trump tied into all this? Well, you probably didn't know this, but Trump's monument reduction could be reversed under Biden. You see, there's a big battle for San Juan County, Utah. The battle for San Juan County. See? August 25th, 2020. And what does it say about it? It says its territory is so beautiful that it has launched a national debate about the use of the American wilderness. The wilderness. You see? It's a big battle going on about it, supposedly a political battle as to what to do with the land. See, this stuff is always wrapped up way much more than you think. Now, the location of where this is located at. The only road that you can take that will get you there, and there's a few of you that have been that will probably hear my words, and you will confirm that the name of the road is Lockhart. Right? Right. Lockhart is 88 in Gematria. Same as Exodus, same as Trump. I guess that's coincidence, right? So I just pulled up Google Earth Pro, and because I'm going to take you and show you the monolith area and the surrounding things that are there for a reason. Like the fact that the name of the road is Lockhart. But when I pulled this up, I've never seen this before. The United States is surrounded by a red, box. You see it? It runs down the west coast here and across and back up. The entire United States is inside of a red box. I've never seen that before on Google Earth, and I don't know what it means for sure. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's has something to do with the fire mapping. That's what it looks like it does. Okay. Anyways, let's keep looking. Let's go on in here to Utah, to the area of the monolith. Let me turn on. I think I have saved. At least I thought I did. Well, we can find it. Hang on just a second. So here you can see Lockhart Road. Okay. Like I said, it's 88. Right over here is the location of the phallic symbol, the monolith, whatever you want to call it. It's right down in there. And this road, it leads along, comes along up the side of the mountainside here, and wraps around above the top and comes across the top up here at the base of this mountainous area here. Now, if I back off just a little bit here and come over this way just a little bit, you can see this is called the United Nations tablet. Yeah, it's a little peak. I'll show it to you here. It's a peak that was named the United Nations tablet. Kind of like a monolith that you could write a statement on, a tablet. Okay? So, they have a very specific interest in this area for some reason. Okay? If you start looking around at some of the different, like look at that, it's called Pyramid Butte. You see who's got their handiwork in here, right? Naming these things, United Nations tablet, Pyramid Butte. And this is interesting, I thought. If you come over here, look at this thing. More importantly, not what, let me turn that off. You know, it's a Texas Gulf Potash Pond or something other. But look at the design. It looks like a wolf. Or a fox, more like. Fox head. You know? And it was strange because I ran into another fox as I was looking into this. And I'll show you what I mean before I let you go. Let me turn off photos for a moment and see if I can see any more. Let's see, there's Caveman Ranch, Base Camp Adventure. But it doesn't take a lot of looking. Musselman Arch to realize that the ones that be have their hands in this area very heavily for probably many reasons. Okay? Yeah. So, let's see. I just wanted to show you that real quick. Hang on and we'll move on to the next level. Actually, no, there was something else I wanted to show you. Let's do a little experiment. Let's go down to, right down in here, where the monolith is approximately located. Okay. And let's just tag this location and start zooming out. We're going to do a little measuring. Okay. Go out. Let's see, here's 88 miles. And 78 miles. I'm seeing what is how far. Okay. Let's zoom on out some more.